This is what Daisy sent.
Alright. Ready? Oh no, let me sit up.
Okay,
thumbnail.
Are we all in frame?
Oh, Lenny's in frame.
Thanks.
Yeah, you is on.
All of us?
Okay.
Now you guys are. What's gonna be our thumbnail this time?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, count us down, Rebecca, for a thumbnail. Ready?
I thought those were the
I thought that was a
Was
thumbnail.
Isaac ready? He never is.
That's the point.
I'm always ready. What the heck you talking
Okay.
about?
Hello, welcome back to another podcast. So we have Natalie and Melly here once again, but Melly will be leading the discussion and the topic. And we have Isaac, of course, joining us. Me and Isaac are going to be your guys' regular co-host. And yeah, Natalie and Melly are going to be here with the topic, and Melly will be introducing and leading the discussion today.
Right, so hi guys. I had a whole different topic ready for us, but I decided let's switch it up because I don't know, I just wasn't feeling that. I was like, I want to talk about something else. So yesterday was Thanksgiving, and I was really thinking, I'm like, wow, like usually other years are like, wow, I'm so thankful because like this, I'm so thankful for this. And yes, we're still thankful for like having a family. I think we're so thankful for our family and all this stuff, but like for me it was like, wow, like I had all these plans for myself this year and like it didn't seem like it happened. So I know like this year has been like really rough. It's like a diamond in the rough, I don't know. But it's been hard to like, you know, like say like I had planned this, but it didn't happen. So what I want to talk about is like when things don't go your way. And so like the verse I wanted to start off with is something I was talking with my uncle yesterday, and he kept telling me like, oh, if your eyes are on God, then everything else will like go as planned. Wherever your treasure is, there are the desires of your heart will also be. Matthew 6:21. So something like I had to like keep reminding myself this year is like, God, this year I wanted to do this, but it didn't happen because of like the pandemic and quarantine. And sometimes God's like, I have something else planned for you. So like, I don't know about you guys, but do you guys think like everything happens for a reason? Like God makes you go through things for a reason?
Yes. I feel like everything happens for a reason, but you had to like take some type of ownership for the things that happen, because it's like God will allow things to happen, but you also have part in the things that happen. If that makes sense.
I completely agree with Ureli. And I think in the midst of whatever is happening, you have to be like appreciative of those things, because they could have gone like completely south. But God's like allowing you to have those things happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Everything happens for a reason. Just because, like, if you think about it, you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't go through everything that you've gone through in the past.
Yeah, so I know for me, like a couple weeks ago, I was having like a really rough week. Like just things were not going my way. Like in school, I was like crying. I was like, I don't want to do my homework. Like I'm mad that I have to pay for school and I don't even like doing my homework at the moment. I don't like my hours for my job right now. Like it's not working out. And I was just having like a complete breakdown that whole week. But I think that week, like I had to go through that to like strengthen myself, to prepare myself for like what I'm going into next, because now I'm like, okay, we got this. Like you went through that week, you know that you have to fix this, and it's okay if things don't go your way, because it's like life isn't perfect. It's not always gonna go how you want it. And I know like people say like life isn't always about like being in the highs. You have to go down to get back up. So I don't know if you guys have had an experience like that where like it's just like not a good week and not a good day.
You're just crying in your car.
It's not a good
It's
year.
just not a good year. I feel like this whole year has been like another one. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do... I know for a lot of you guys, it's like, I don't want to do my homework. Like, I totally feel you. Right now, I get mad because I'm like, I got to pay to do my homework I don't even like doing. But I know, like, I just have to get through it, like, push through 2 more weeks. Like, God, we got this. And I think that's how, like, our mindset should be for, like, a lot of stuff. I don't know, you guys have, like, a similar experience?
Yeah, I feel like, funny enough, I didn't even know you were going to go into this topic, but I was talking to one of my friends this morning, and I was like, so how's life? We were catching up, and he was like, you know what's funny? My birthday's coming up. He's like, I never want to do anything for my birthday. He's like, this year I'm turning 30. I had plans, like, I'm going to do a big party, like, all the gifts, all the friends, like, a huge thing. He's like, and now I can't do anything. And I was like, dude, it's funny how life works. Like, I feel like there's just, life is so funny. And, like, I feel like God has a good sense of humor. Like, he's just like, look at what you thought you were going to do. And, like, for me, I think about it, like, you know, or even getting into those moments where you're just like, I have to do all these different things. And, like, I have to, like, do this checklist that we set up for ourselves. And I'm just like, okay, I have to do this. And I feel like we stress ourselves out with what we think we have to do and what we're supposed to be doing. And God's just kind of, like, laughing, like, you know, make your checklist, it's fine. But, like, regardless, I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm going to do what's best for you. Even if it's going to cause you to have little breakdowns that we tend to, like, I feel like we cause it ourselves sometimes. Like, even just, like, dealing with anxiety and stuff like that. Like, you tend to, like, get in your head and overthink so many things because of your own worries and you worrying about things you can't control. And it's, I don't know, I think God's just kind of like, you know, what are you doing? Why are you freaking out? Like, I got you. Can you restate the question?
Yeah, I think this whole year, like, every time I am reflecting, like, what we thought last year at the end of the year, what we had hopes for, and what we were planning for 2020, like, right at the beginning, it was just, like, scratch all those plans because you're gonna have to adapt to this whole new year. Like, I think it's just being grateful of, like, everything that we took for granted in our normal everyday to day. Like, seeing your family, seeing your friends, I think that's something that's, like, so important. But I think before the pandemic, we really just were like, another family party. I have to go see my family again. And it's like, I think now it's a new perspective of, like, dang, like, I really miss my family. I really miss having all the get-togethers and just being able to, like, chill and relax.
Finally realized how cool I was. You finally realized how cool I was.
Yes.
It's funny.
He's not.
Oh, you want to say something? All right. I don't know. I don't really have. Well, I guess I have tough weeks, but I guess I don't really show it through emotions. I kind of just live.
Just
Yeah, and I feel like for me, like, I don't know, like, I tend to, like, plan everything in my head. I'm like, I know how I want my day to go, my morning to go. Like, I know what I want. I know what I wanted my year to look, and when it wasn't going as planned, I was like, it's okay. But, you know, I was, like, talking to my tío Ramon yesterday, and he kept telling me this. I'm like, why is he telling me this? And it finally hit me. He kept telling me, seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. That's Proverbs 3:6. And sometimes we're not seeking God first, and that's why we are like, it's not going as I planned. Like, it's not going like, God, I wanted this. I wanted to be graduated by this year. I wanted to be married by this year. I wanted to have kids by this year. And why isn't it going that way?
You want to?
No, I don't want to, but I know.
But other people.
But other people are like, I wanted, like, I know other.
She's like, not me, but others.
Not me. I still gotta finish school.
This is news to me.
This is not new. I still gotta be. But I was like, God, I wanted this job. Like, I thought this was gonna happen by this time. And when, like, it doesn't happen, you're like, why isn't it happening? And sometimes it's because, like, that's not what God wanted. And, like, God's like, I have something better planned for you. And so for me, it's like, because, like, I have to, like, go back. I'm like, I'm not seeking God first. And that's why I'm, like, being overthinking stuff. That's why I'm like, God have something better planned for me. And I gotta, like, let God do his will. I don't know if that's happened to y'all. Or you
Yeah, I think even just like that verse, I think it's so important because it's like the path is revealed when you're seeking God. It's not going to be something like, oh, I'm just going to include God like real quick. Hey, God, take part into my career. And it's like, no, you seek me first and then you'll see where you're supposed to be going to. And I think we tend to do the opposite. We try to seek our path and then just kind of add God into the mix, which I mean, I know I do that a lot, and it's something that you have to get out of the habit of putting yourself first and putting God's plan first over your own, because I think, like Maddie had kind of mentioned, like, it's easy to envision what you wanted for 2020 or what you wanted for your life to look like at this point, and looking back at it, you're just like, well, okay, it's not what I intended, but there's still so much to be grateful for in the process, in the path. But I think just seeking God is so important, and I think we forget to do that a lot, especially when it comes to just our life goals and like the plans that we have. We forget to just seek what God wants for us instead of what we want for ourselves.
Yeah. I'll add on something. When I got out of high school, I'm like, I'm gonna make $100K every year.
You're lying. You thought that?
No, I didn't, but I wish.
I think a lot of times we try to do things by ourselves, for ourselves. And by the time we realize, like, oh shit, we need God, and God's like, yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
I would just relate this all to the pandemic just because we're all living through it. I don't know. I feel like just hearing Meli and Lely talk, I feel like it was kind of like God saying, like, everyone was planning, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I have all these plans. This is what I want to achieve. But we never add in, like, God to the mix. Like, you know what? Let me take a second and think about this. And I feel like it's kind of like a setback. And right now, we're in that moment of, like, learn the lesson. Like, what is it that you need to take from this season and, like, apply it to your own life? Like, are you truly seeking God and adding your plans to fit God? Or are you trying to have... Oh, we know.
Are you trying to make God fit your plans, or are you trying to fit the plans of God?
Yeah. Say that one more time.
Say that louder for the people.
Yeah.
Say it a little louder. Are you fitting God into your plans, or are you fitting into the plans of God?
So yeah, that's, I think, the big $1 million question we should be asking ourselves.
I think something just like that Natalie kind of mentioned was like, this year we have all these plans, and I think even just the fact that we don't, like, when people ask us about like what your plans are, what were the things you had in store for this year, we never like even add that, like, if God allows it or if God permits, like the way our like grandparents and just older folks tend to mention, like, oh, si Dios lo permite, I'll do this, si Dios quiere, esto va a pasar. And like us as younger ones, we're just like, this is my plan, this, I'm gonna do this and that.
And God's gonna make it happen because I asked him.
Yeah, and it's like we don't even add that, like, si Dios lo permite, si Dios quiere, God willing. Like, we never even add that into our plans, and I think that in itself says a lot, because it kind of just shows how, like, their faith is more focused on, like, if God permits this to happen, it'll happen. And we're just like, this is gonna happen because I'm gonna make it happen. Versus if God allows it and if it's God's will, this will happen.
Yeah, and I like the verse. It just came to me, like, don't lean on your own understandings, because sometimes we lean on our own understandings and not on God, and we're looking at other places for the answers, and when the answer's like right there, and you're just going everywhere else, when like God's like, I'm right here, I have the answers, but you won't come to me. And sometimes we're like that, like we're just like, no, I could do this on my own. I don't need God's help. Although, like, you're like, oh, I need God's help. Like, no, sometimes we're stubborn and we're like, God, I got this on my own. I'm going to graduate on my own. I'm going to do this on my own. When God's like, but if you let me in, like, I have better plans for you. I forgot the verse. It says, seek God. Don't lean on your own understandings.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Cut that out.
Cut the cameras.
Because it's like literally in my room on top of my bed too. But another verse that I really liked. So don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. So sometimes, like, we don't even pray. We're like, we think, like, God tells us, like, if you ask, you shall receive. And sometimes we're like, God, you know what I want. Yeah, he knows what you want. Like, he knows what's in your heart. But if you ask God and you're praying about stuff, you will receive. And, like, I think sometimes it even happens to me. Like, I'm like, I want this, but I never tell God. I'm never like praying, like, God, like, help me, direct me in this. Like how Lely said, like, they're like, si Dios lo permita, that's how they pray. And I think praying is like very important and something like we should be doing constantly, and especially this year, how Natalie was talking about.
Yeah, I feel like just we forget that there's so much power in prayer, and kind of like the verse mentions, like, ask for what you need and God will give it to you. But, you know, there's like that key thing about, like, you need it, not something that you just, you know, this would be nice, like, oh, $100K a year, starting job, like, that would be nice, but I don't necessarily need that, you know, like, I'll be okay if you start me off at $50K or whatever. But I think there's so much power in prayer, and we forget that even though, like Manly said, even though God knows the desires of your heart, he's still looking for that relationship, and that's where prayer has such a huge part in the relationship with God. It's your way and your time to have intimacy, to have that moment to just simply talk to God, to vent, to ask, to just listen. And I think that's kind of why I feel like a lot of us lose that relationship aspect with God, and like a lot of us don't even have relationship with God because we just expect him to read our mind and go with it instead of saying, let me put this time apart, let me have this intimacy with God, let me pray, let me read the Bible and stuff like that, you know?
So when you read the verse, I also thought of the need aspect. I think sometimes like we get mad if God doesn't do things our way. Oh, this happens all the. So when Melissa read that passage, I started thinking about the need aspect also, and I think sometimes like we get mad if it's not our ways. Like God knows why He doesn't do things, but like sometimes we're so stubborn and we're like, God, I really needed that, and He's like, no, you don't. Or I have something like even better. Like, why are you keeping your mindset on that one thing when I have something so much bigger to offer to you?
Like you're blocking your own blessing.
Yeah.
A big thing I made it sound about like prayer. When I was talking about like you can't have a relationship with a person if you don't talk to them.
Yeah.
So how do you expect to have a relationship with God if you don't pray, you don't talk?
Oh, wow.
Period.
Don't say that. You ruined the movie.
Yeah, exactly what Isaac said. I think the Bible mentions it. Like, I was doing the study with the women's on Monday, and like we were talking about how like in the Bible it constantly mentions like ask and you shall receive. Like it's all over the place, and sometimes we don't even ask, and we're like
Where's it at?
where's it at? Like, and like how Isaac said, like if you don't even talk to like a person, how are you gonna have a relationship with that person? So my next point was Psalms 138:3. It says, "As soon as I pray, you answer me. You encourage me by giving me strength." So as you're talking about prayer, this verse, like I like it a lot because when we pray, like God encourages you. He gives you strength. So sometimes it's like such a simple thing when we're feeling down. All we have to do is talk to God, and He gives you that encouragement and that strength that you need to like get through your day. That's why I like to pray in the mornings because I'm like, God, help me with the work today, you know, like give me the strength. Like I don't know how I'm going to get through today, but only you know how I'm going to get through today. I'm going to take it one step at a time. And like just being able to like put like your burden on God. He's like, I got you. I know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think starting your day off with God just kind of changes the way your day goes versus like halfway through the day you're like going through and you're just like, God, please help me come through. And I feel like God's so quick to respond, and you'll see the immediate shift in like your day. Like you're like, okay, things are finally starting to turn up for me and like stuff like that. But it's like you could easily start your day with God and just like have everything work out the way it should work out with God's, you know, like hand over your day and stuff like that.
Maybe.
I don't care. I'll go. So I think like a big part of that is like when that verse that says, "Take my yoke." Is it yoke, right? The yoke, the el yugo. I don't know how to say it. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but I don't know what it is in English.
I don't know what it is. I think it's yoke. But yeah, it says take my yoke. Like it's, I think it's like when you get that connection with God, especially like throughout the day when you're having a hard time, it's just like that weight off your shoulders, the pressure off your chest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, I think I need to start getting more into the beginning, but every night before I go to bed, I always just, when I'm praying, I always remember to like thank God for everything that I was allowed to do throughout the day. So I'm like, thanks God for helping me with my test. Like, you really pulled through for a real one. And, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do on this test. And it's like, I do my quick little prayer like, God, I have studied, but, you know I need this. And, like, He just always pulls through. And even just, like, allowing us to breathe. I'm like, God, thanks for letting me wake up today, have a house, have food. Because I know, like, those are privileges. Like, it's not something that everyone has that ability to be so blessed with and fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just on another verse that ties in. This is Psalms 23:3. It says, "He renews my strength, he guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name." So, same thing. He renews your strength and he guides you along the right path. I know, like, there's one verse of the Bible says, like, the path. There's two paths. There's one that's narrow and there's one that, like, a lot of people take. And, like, really, like, ask yourself, like, which path am I on? Am I on the narrow one that not a lot of people take, or am I on, like, the wide one that everyone's taking? And where is that path leading you? So that I always question myself, like, if I die today, where am I going? And that really puts me in check, like, so fast. I'm like, God, I'm sorry.
Oh,
So, yeah.
yes. Every time they mention that in, like, preaching, so I'm like, God, I'm so sorry. I'm a sinner. And I feel like it's one of those things that we just have to, like, constantly remind ourselves, like, are you on the straight and wide path that's easy and, like, anybody can walk down that path? Or are you on that narrow road that has a little bit more of navigating that you have to go through? But, I mean, one of them's obviously leading you to hell and the other one's leading you to heaven. I feel like just reminding yourself, like, there's no middle ground when it comes to this. Like, you're either going to hell or you're going to heaven. Like, there's nothing to it. There's no, like, you know, I'll just sin a little bit and I'll be fine. You know, I'll be okay. Like, no, like, it's, you're either on the right path or you're on the wrong path. And there's no third path that you can just kind of go into both. Which I was, like, thinking that just because I was thinking of the other topic of lukewarmness. Like, just trying to go through both paths, but it's like, no, you're either on one path or you're on the other. And I think just the last part of that verse, it talks about bringing honor
to his name.
Bringing honor to his name. And it's like, we're supposed to be walking and having a path that is honoring God. And I think a lot of times we forget that what we're doing should be honoring God. Like, every aspect of our life is supposed to bring honor to God, not to ourselves or not to anything else. And I think that's a big part that we tend to forget, is just that aspect of, like, am I honoring God in my actions, in my thoughts, in the things I'm saying, in the things I'm doing, and the things I'm watching? Like, am I bringing honor to God or to other things?
I think me personally, like, when you're talking about, like, if you die today, like, I think when they used to preach about that, like, I kind of get scared. I used to. I used to get kind of scared, like, oh, like, nah, I'm fine. But then, I think as you get closer with God, having a relationship, you don't get scared. It's more like, yeah, I'm ready, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they ask you that question and your immediate response is, like, I have to negotiate the answer.
If you don't
with
know,
myself,
then you should be.
I think
That's
that
your
is your answer. Like, if you have to negotiate, like, I'm not bad, but, like, I could do better, like, that's your response. You're being a lukewarm Christian. And the Bible even talks about, like, how you can't be in the middle because you're just, like, you'll be spit out.
Yeah, like, that's like, I literally read, I know what verse you're talking about. Like,
It's
the
in
Bible says, like,
Revelations.
you can't serve two masters. Like, you're either hot or cold. Like, imagine getting to heaven and God's like, I don't know you, and you're like, what?
You're like, God.
It's me.
It's me. And he's like, no, I don't know you. Like, that to me brings me so much sadness. Like, getting up to heaven and, like, God saying, like, I don't know you. That
Yeah.
would suck so bad. And so, like, that should just bring fear into you. Like, God saying, like, I don't know you, and he spits you out. Back to, like, that's it just
I
gets
think
me.
even, like, the whole actions part, like, your actions always speak so much more than what your words could say. Like, yes, your words have power, but, like, everything you do with your actions, it shows, I feel like, a lot more than just your words. And I think if you have to negotiate, like, my actions aren't that bad either, like, I don't think you should be doing that either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I want to tie into, like, what Isaac was saying, because, like, when I was small, I used to tell my mom, like, Mom, aren't you scared of the world ending? She's like, no. And I'm like, I am. And so she'd be like, why? And I'm like, well, I don't want the world to end. I don't want to die. And she was like, well, she would always tell me, like, how Pablo would say, like, if you die today, you should be happy because you're going to heaven. And if you live today, you should be happy because God gives you another day. And like, ever since then, I'm like, I'm not scared because my mom said that. Just kidding.
I think how
Yeah.
Isaac said, growing up and growing in your relationship, that fear kind of just starts like diminishing because you're more secure. Like, you know what? Like, I know where my spot is. Like, I know where I have my reservation at, and I'm gonna make it to the reservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even just like what you guys were saying, it reminded me of one of Jesse's friends was like talking to us about his like testimony and stuff, and he mentioned how one of their friends, he passed away, but while he was like in the hospital, he was so at peace. Like he was so at peace. Like he knew, he was like, you know, I'm gonna die, it's fine, but he was so at peace with it because he had so much certainty that he was going to heaven. Like I was like, dang, like if you're at peace on your deathbed, like you know you're going to heaven. Like you know your
That's such a
relationship
peaceful way
is
to die,
solid.
too.
Like if you have so much peace and certainty with like the idea of like death, or like if I were to die right now, I'm fine. Like I don't even need you guys to cry because I'm going to heaven. Like that level of confidence and peace in your relationship with God and that security, I feel like is something that we should really be striving for. Like just having so much peace and so much security in where your stance is, and like now, so like I know where my reservation is at, and it's somewhere I have peace with going to, you know.
But yeah, like if you read the Bible, like is your name written in the book or has it been erased?
Yeah,
Like that's a question like you should linger on.
I feel like just this year, I mean, we're coming to the end of the year. We got to this point, and it's been a very long year. Like, thank God we are all still here. We have been healthy. God has maintained us through this whole pandemic healthy and safe. And I feel like that in itself is just a huge blessing to be thankful for. And obviously Thanksgiving was yesterday or just passed, depending on when you're seeing this, you know. Just passed. And I think just taking that moment to just thank God for it, because it's like, yes, it's been a hard year. Yes, we've had to adapt to, you know, like distance learning, to working differently, to hours being cut, to losing, you know, certain jobs. It's definitely been a tough year, but we serve such a great God. And I think if this year didn't push you to seek God more, I don't know what will. Because like this year, I feel like it just was like you're either running to God or you're running to other things that aren't of God. And I don't know. I feel like this year was just that kind of like moment where it really put into frame like what it is that you have at the forefront of your life, and whether you're serving God or you're serving an idol that isn't doing you any good.
Code Brown.
15%.
Code Brown.
To get 15%. I'm just kidding.
We'll see what we bring.
Code
Brownies,
Brownies,
Code Brown.
brownies,
I like that
peppermint
color.
bark. I like peppermint.
Brown. So if you're watching, up to you.
Right now is the
Code
code.
Brown.
Code
That's
brown.
the code.
Just to summarize everything, so we talked about the path that you were on, a little bit about being lukewarm, and like keeping yourself in check, trusting in God, and praying, like all together. So if you got here, Code Brown.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
We made
it.
to the end.
Any final comments from you guys?
Yeah. No.
He said yeah.
So
Is it?
All right.
we'll
See
see
you
y'all
for the
next
next
time.
one. Bye.
Hold up, they don't even know about the work we put into this. Look, viejotes in the stew. You got this, that. Stop playing.
They don't even know
The
the word.
producer.
An audience.